If you've ever wondered what happens when ego, power, and war collide at the highest level, this story will show you exactly how fast everything can spiral out of control. This is a story about ambition, control, and the illusion of winning a war that no one truly understands. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll realize something unsettling. Sometimes the biggest battle isn't on the battlefield, it's inside the people leading it. I didn't come here to lose. That's the first thing you need to understand about me. When they handed me command, it wasn't just another assignment, it was validation. Proof that everything I had done, every risk, every decision, every calculated move had led to this moment. I wasn't just stepping into a war, I was stepping into legacy. From the outside, it looked simple, a mission with a clear objective. Stabilize the region, eliminate threats, bring order to chaos. But war doesn't work like that. It never has. The moment I arrived, I could feel it, the disconnect between what we were told and what was actually happening on the ground. Maps don't show fear, reports don't show confusion, and strategies don't survive contact with reality. Still, I believed I could make it work. That's what ambition does. It convinces you that you're the exception, that you see what others missed, that you can control something that was never meant to be controlled. I surrounded myself with people who could execute. Sharp minds, loyal operators, individuals who understood the weight of what we were trying to do. But even then, there was friction. Not everyone saw the mission the way I did. Some of them questioned the strategy, others questioned the purpose, and a few, they didn't say anything at all, which, in a place like this, is often more dangerous than disagreement. Because silence usually means doubt, and doubt spreads. At first, I ignored it. Leaders don't hesitate. They move forward, they adapt, they push through resistance. That's what I told myself, but the deeper we got, the more complicated everything became. The enemy wasn't where we expected. The alliances weren't as stable as they seemed, and every decision we made created consequences we couldn't predict. That's when I started to realize something uncomfortable. This wasn't a war you win with force alone. It was a war of perception, of politics, of narratives. And I wasn't just fighting enemies on the ground. I was fighting expectations from above. Every move I made was being watched, evaluated, judged by people who weren't here, but still controlled everything. They wanted results, fast results, clean results. But there's nothing clean about war. And the more they pushed, the more I pushed back. Because I wasn't going to fail. Not here. Not like this. If you're enjoying this breakdown so far, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Because stories like this don't just entertain, they reveal how power, psychology, and pressure shape real decisions. And trust me, it only gets more intense from here. So I doubled down. More operations, more pressure, more risk. I told myself it was necessary, that this was what leadership looked like. But deep down, I knew something was shifting. The line between confidence and arrogance. It's thinner than people think. And I was starting to cross it. The people around me could see it too. They just didn't say it directly. Instead, it showed up in hesitation, in the way they responded, in the way they started choosing their words more carefully. Because when a leader becomes unpredictable, everyone else becomes cautious. And caution slows everything down. Meanwhile, the situation on the ground kept evolving. We weren't just dealing with opposition, we were dealing with complexity. Layers of conflict that didn't have clear solutions. Every time we thought we were making progress, something else would unravel. And that's when frustration started to creep in. Not the kind you show, the kind you bury, the kind that builds quietly, until it starts influencing your decisions. I became more aggressive, more determined to prove that this could work, that I could make it work. Because if I couldn't, then what did that say about me? That's the part no one talks about. War doesn't just test strategy, it tests identity. And when your identity is tied to winning, losing becomes something you can't accept, even when the signs are right in front of you. Back home, the narrative was different. They wanted a story they could present, a version of events that made sense, that felt controlled. But out here, control was an illusion. and the more I tried to hold on to it, the more it slipped away. At this point, everything starts to change. Not all at once, but enough that you can't ignore it anymore. If you're still watching, drop a comment. Would you double down or step back? Because what happens next depends entirely on that choice. Conversations became more tense, decisions became heavier, and slowly, the gap between what we said was happening and what was actually happening started to widen. I could feel it, but I kept moving forward anyway. Because stopping would mean acknowledging that maybe this wasn't working, and I wasn't ready to face that. Not yet. So I kept pushing, kept believing, kept telling myself that the next move, the next operation, the next decision would be the one that turned everything around. That's how it traps you. Not all at once, but gradually, until you're so deep in it, you don't even recognize the version of yourself making the choices anymore. And by the time you do, it might already be too late. What makes this story powerful isn't just the war itself, it's what the war reveals about leadership, about control, and about how quickly confidence can turn into something else entirely. Because sometimes, the most dangerous weapon in any conflict is the belief that you're the one who can't fail. And if you've made it this far, you already understand. This was never just a war story, it was a story about a man trying to prove something to the world and slowly losing control of what that actually meant. If you want more breakdowns like this, deep, psychological, and real, hit subscribe. Because stories like this, they don't just entertain, they reveal.